Hello everyone, welcome to Laratips. In our previous video, we looked into the listing of the users. We showed name, email, role, created, add actions. Here we showed the role and the filters as well. And in this video, we'll be looking at creation, editing and deleting of the users.
And before starting this video, I'd like you to introduce to this whole series sponsor, which is Cloudways. Cloudways is a managed cloud hosting platform which focuses on your business and avoid all the web hosting hassles. Cloudways will take care of the server setup for you, and you can go live in minutes using the Cloudways. You can select any one of these applications like WordPress, Laravel, PHP, etc. and you can host those in any one of these servers like DigitalOcean, AWS, Vultr, Google Cloud or Linode. And also you can scale your server size as you need using the simple and easy user interface. You can use the link below to subscribe to Cloudways, and if you do so, you will get $15 as a credit. And you can use that $15 to set up a base server, and it will last you almost a month, which means that you are getting 1 month free.
Now let's get started. Let me go here and let me check here in the create page. And let me search for permission. Then also we'll not find anything for the permission because as I have said earlier, we had made this very dynamic. So let me go over here and click on add new. Then I can see here name, but we want name, email, password confirmation and then role. So let us do that. Now here I'll just see here name, email, password confirmation and role ID. Now let me just go over here inside this card. And here let me wrap this with a div, and then I'll just say here class grid. Let's say grid equals 2 and gap will be, let's say 6. We have this label name, and for email also we have to duplicate this again. Yeah, we have to do it many times. So we'll convert this thing into its own component. So let us do it. I'll just copy this and let me go inside this label. And here inside these components I'll create input group.view, and I'll just generate this component and paste it over here like this. And let me import this, and let us not write this breeze label. I don't like it, so I'll just remove this breeze and reformat it. Now let me go here in the create and let me try to import these. I'll import all these and I'll add it over here, and instead of breeze we'll just say here input. Now let's say be if label, then we'll just do label like this, and we'll accept this as prop. So we'll just say here define props model value so that we can use v model on the input group as well. Then I'll say this type, label and error messages, and by default the type will be text and the label will be empty string and error message will also be empty string. And here we'll not write here v model, and here instead of text we'll write here type and it will be dynamic. Similarly we'll remove this autofocus and required, and similarly here we'll say v dash if error message. If there is error message then only we'll show this. And also whatever we pass to this input group other than the props, we want this to be applied to this input, not to this parent div. So for that I'll just write here v dash bind attrs. And now let me just do here model value equals to model value, because if we go here inside this input component, then we have this prop as a model value. We'll not write here v model. Okay, we'll just emit whatever the thing that is emitted from this input. So it is emitting this update model value. So I'll just go here and I'll write here @update model value, and here it will be like this, and equal to emit update model value, and here the value will be event, and it will not be event.target.value because we have already passed here event.target.value. Whatever we pass from here, it will be available to this as an event. So we'll only pass event over here. Now we can use v model on the input group also. Now let me go here in the create, remove these things from here, these things, and instead of input error I'll just say input group, and let us use this over here like this. And here we'll say label will be name, v model will be form.name, and it will be required. Similarly we'll also pass here error message and form dot errors dot name like this. Now we can easily remove this thing and format it like this. Now if I come here and refresh the page, the input element is displaying, and if you check here in the console also, then there is no error, which means we have refactored it successfully. So after this, let me just duplicate it and let me write here email, and here will be email like this. Similarly, we also have the password, and here will be also password, and we'll also have the password confirmation. I'll just write here password confirmation, and here I'll say confirm password. And we only want this to be required if it is a create page. In the edit section, we don't want this to be required. So I'll just write here like this, and here will be not edit. Now after this, we also want a select input, and if we check, we don't have any select component, so let us create that one as well. So let me go here inside this components, and let me just create here select.view, and this thing will be very same as that of the input component that we have present over here. And I have already created that component, so I'll just paste it over here and I'll just show you one by one. So here we have model value and items, that whatever we pass here in the items, that will show in the select drop down. Here is the item text and item value. By default it will be ID and name. If you want a very simple component, then you don't want it. But for example, let's say all the objects in the array have a different keys than ID and name, then if you pass item value as, let's say, text over here like this, then, and that passed object has the key as a text, then it will be assigned as a value. So without select means if we don't want this select on the top of this select input, then we'll just pass here true, otherwise false. So this is the define image, which is always present in a component. Then we have these options. Now here props on, if it is without select, then we'll just pass whatever that is passed to the props items, and then if we want this select, then we'll add here select. So which means that here will be like this. By default, let's say we have this like this object like this. Let's say here ID equals to 1, and let's say name equals to A like this. Suppose let's say if it is saying without select, then it will just return this, otherwise it will just, and here what I have done is just added it like this. So here ID will be empty and name will be select. It is just prepending this like this. The item text is this name, which is this name, and item value is ID, which is this ID. If we don't pass anything, then it will always be name and ID. And for most of the models, we have ID and name. The ID is always the primary key, and almost every other thing has name or title as the identifying thing. So if the model has the property as title, then we can pass here item text as title, and then it will show the title, otherwise it will show name. So I'll remove this. We have done it like this, and these options is being used over here, looping through the options. Similarly, we have this select. We are using this over here inside the ref, and if there is autofocus, then we'll automatically focus this. It is just as that other input component. Then we are just assigning this value, model value, whatever we pass from the props, the B model, whatever thing that is assigned in the B model, it will be assigned to it by default. And if something is changed, then we'll just emit update model event and even the target that value. And if I just show you input element, then it is the same thing over here. I have some classes and then items and then item text and value like this. Now let me also create a select group. So I'll just go here and I'll create here select group.view, and it will be as similar to that of the input group. And I have already created that component, so I'll just paste the code over here and I'll just explain you guys. So here it is same that of the input group, input label, input error, and select model value, type, label, error messages. And here label, if there is a label, it will show it. If there is an input error message, then it will show it. And this select, we are just passing that model value and then update model value and this event, same as that of the input group, and bind attrs. And if we pass here items, you can see here there is no props items over here. But if we pass items on this select group, then it will pass that items to this, because we are using here bind attrs. so we don't have to write their props as well. We already have props over here in this select. We are not looping through anything over here, so we can just not pass the items or whatever the props that we need to pass here inside the select. After this, let us go here inside this. Let's say go here in the users, and here instead of user group, we'll just say here select group. The label will be role and v model will be form.role id, and here we'll say items will be roles, and then error message will be role id like this. And we want this to be required, so we'll remove this from here like this. And we also need to pass these roles, so I'll go here in the users controller, and here in the index I think I didn't pass the roles, so I'll just go over here like this, and let's say roles, and we'll say here, sorry, not here but here in the create section. So I'll just say here roles, role resource collection, and I'll just get the role with the ID and name, and this role resource and role is imported at the top over here. And I also need to pass the same thing from here from the edit section as well. Now let me come here and refresh the page. Then I can see here name, email, password, confirm password, but I am not seeing that role because I think I forgot to import it. Okay, let me go here, let me just select it, and yes, I forgot to import it. So I'll just go here and paste it over here and refresh the page over here like this. Then I'm seeing an error. So let me see what is the error over here. So it is saying undefined is not iterable. So if I just look here, then it is not showing me anything that is readable. So I'll go here and just check it and just have a look. Property roles was accessed during render but is not defined. Oh yeah, so I'll just go here in the create, and we don't have here. I'll just duplicate it rows, and it will be array, and then required will be true. Now if I come here and refresh the page, then I didn't see any error, and here we have this new editor, new role, and super admin. And by default, if we see here, we have this name over here. Suppose let's say we had here title, let's say as title. Okay, I'm just doing it to demonstrate you that component here, id, name as title. Then if I come here and refresh the page, okay, then also I am seeing it because, okay, I am here in the edit section. Let me just undo it. Let me go here in the create section, and then let's say name as title like this. And if I come here and refresh, then I'll not see that. And let me go here in the resource also, and let me also pass it for the time being over here, title like this. Then also if I come here and refresh the page, then also I'll not see that. So in order to make it visible, I have to go here in the create section over here, input like this, and if I just go here in the select like this, then we have this item text, because whatever the thing that will be visible is the item text. I'll just say here item text will be title like this. Then if I come here and refresh the page, then I'll be able to see it. For example, if you have any other thing that we want that to be appeared in the v model, then you can also pass it as v item value like this. And for item text also, let's say we want title. So if I come here and refresh the page, then we can see it. But if I go here and if I show you over here in the view section, let me just zoom it, and here I have this form, and here I have this name. So where did it go? This name like this. And if I just select new role, sorry, not in the name but here in the role id. So where is it? The role id, here you can see here the new role over here. But if I just remove it and come here in the role resource and remove this title as well, and in the users controller also, let me just undo. And if I come here and refresh the page and come here and select this role, and here in the form, if I just show you over here just below over here in the role id, then I am getting here 3. So this is how it works. So after this, we'll get this name, email, password, password confirmation, and role. And now here we only want to save the name, email, and password of the user. And here we'll say request, let's say save, and then we'll only say here only name, email, password like this. But if we do it like this, then the name and email will be saved. We don't have anything to worry about it, but the password will also be saved as a plain text. So for that, we'll create a cast. So we'll say here php artisan make cast, and we'll say here password cast. I'll just search for the password cast, and it is present inside this app cast folder. We don't want to do anything whenever we are getting, but whenever we are setting, which means that whenever we are saving or updating the model, then we want to modify it. We'll just do here hash, and this will be the facade, and hash make, we'll just say here value like this. It will automatically encrypt and hash the password, and it will save it to the database. For that, we'll go here in the user model, and then here in the cast, we'll just say here password, and we'll say password cast class like this, and it is imported over here. And I don't want this, I also don't want this fee label, so I'll remove this and remove these comments as well, these also. And I'll go here in the app service provider, and I'll just write here model on guard. We don't want model to guard our properties. We'll just make sure that everything is validated and we have only passed the safe parameters whenever we are saving users or any other thing. So I'll go here in the users controller. We'll just create a user like this, and here we'll say user. And if I just show you over here in the spaCy permission, and if you go here, and you can find easily attaching and detaching of the roles and permission in this cache section. It is mentioned over here nicely because I see all the methods over here, so it is easy for me to look into it. I'll see here user and then assign role. So user assign role, that we have the same method on the permissions and users as well, so we can use it. Otherwise, you can just check the documentation. We have this method, and here I'll say request role ID. We can either pass an array or we can pass the single value, or also we can pass the role name or the ID as well. It will just work automatically. So now we have created the user with the name, email and password, and then we have assigned a role to that user. Now if you also check here in the user request, we have all set the validation. Now if we come here and refresh the page, and let me just fill it with the autofiller, and okay, here password is visible. So let me go here in the users create, and here will be this type email, type will be password, and here also type will be password. And let me format it and come here and refresh the page, and again fill the form, and let me just say here 1 2 3, so that this password and this password is not same. And let me just select over here and click on save. Then we can see here it is asking me, so it is just a client side. Now editor, if I just click on save, then there is something that is going on over here. Again, this password rule, let me go here in the users request. Here is this password, and this is not the password, facade password. I'll import this this validation rules password. And now let me just go back and click on save one more time. Then again I am saying this error because base table or view not found. Okay, it is looking for here app http request admin role, this role. Okay, we haven't imported that role. Why isn't this PS code showing me the error even if this class is not imported? I don't know why. So I'll just import it, role spaCy permission models. And now if I again click outside and again click on the save, then we can see here the password confirmation and the password must match. And if I just say here 1 2 3 like this, I think I added 3 extra characters, and this is the user and this is the email. Now if I click on save, then we can see here user created successfully, and the user has the role of the editor as selected. Now let me go here in the edit section. Then we can see the name, but we cannot see email and the role. Password, we don't want to fill it. So let me go here in the user/create over here, and here in the edit section, let me go over here. Okay, where did it go? Okay, from here. So I'll just see here email, and here I'll say role ID. So here it will not be role ID. Let me go over here in the users controller edit page. We have passed all the roles, and we need to pass the role of that user also. So we'll say here $user load roles roles dot id like this. Also in the user resource also we have already this added this roles, so it will be available. So here I'll just say here roles 0 and I'll say here dot id like this. But we already know that this role will be always available, so we can easily do it 0 like this. And now if I come here and refresh the page, then we'll see here email and this editor is also automatically selected. Now if we look here in the, let's say go here in the roles and we have this editor role, yeah. So I'll go here, okay, it has this permissions module, yeah. So I'll just detach all these permissions. Now let us also try to click on save and update it. So I'll go here in the users controller, and if I just go here in the store, I'll just copy this logic from here and paste it over here like this, and I'll just remove this thing from here and I'll say here $user update and I'll pass these parameters, and this thing will be the same thing over here, but instead of assign role we'll say here sync role, and it is showing mirror because this update will return either true or false, I think. So it is showing mirror. Now it should not. And here instead of sync role we have sync roles method, but we can pass here single id as well. After this, let us go here in the editor section and let me change this password to be the same email. So I'll just write here same thing and click on save, and let me go here in the incognito mode and pass that email and password and click on login. Then we can easily log in, and we don't have anything permission over here since this user has the editor role. If we go here in the editor and just click on it and then assign this view permission module and list, and if I again come here and refresh, then we can see this and the user will be able to see the permissions only. Now let us go here again in the user section and let us try to delete a user. So here this is the user delete, and user deleted successfully. We don't have to do anything over here, just go ahead over here and click on delete. You can see here the user is deleted successfully, and if a user is deleted and that user is already logged in, then if he or she just refreshes the page, then they will automatically get logged out. So I'll close this. And finally, one more thing that we need to fix is that whenever we delete a user, then it will also automatically scroll us back to the top of this page. We don't want that kind of behavior. So we'll just search for over here use delete item over here, and here in the inertia delete we just write here preserve scroll equals to true and preserve state equals to true. Now let me just open console over here so that there is some scroll position over here. Now let me create a new user. Let me just refresh the page over and autofill the user, and then let me just come here and save it. This user is super admin, and then just scroll here, and if I delete this user it should not take me to the top of the page. Okay, so I'll just click here and delete, then it is just staying in the same position. So that's it for this video guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.